All eyes are on the sprawling Ritz Hotel in Riyadh. It wears a deserted look today, but inside, you could bet things are hectic. Because this is where the crucial Ukraine peace talks are happening. All three delegations are here. The American team, the Russian team, and the Ukrainian team, all of them under the same roof. These delegations are discussing the technical side of things. They have the green light from their respective presidents, so their job is to finalize the fine print. And how's it going? Well, the Americans and the Ukrainians met yesterday. Kiev called it a constructive talk. President Zelenskyy later released a statement. He urged the world to build pressure on Russia.
There must be more pressure on Russia to stop this terror. And that depends on all our partners, the US, Europe, and others around the world. After the last meeting in Saudi Arabia, it has become absolutely clear to the entire world, Russia is the only one dragging this war out, the only one that brought it here, and the only one who needs it to continue.
Today, the talks continued. As we speak, the Russians and the Americans are holding discussions. Afterwards, the Americans will hold talks with the Ukrainians, sort of like a debrief. We are still waiting for statements on those talks, but we can tell you that the focus is on the Black Sea. The US is pushing for a maritime ceasefire. Basically, no attacks on ships or ports. Such a ceasefire was agreed upon in 2022. It was called the Black Sea Grain Initiative. The idea was to allow Ukraine and Russia to ship food grains without fear. This agreement held for almost 1 year, but in 2023, Russia walked out of it. 2 years later, President Trump wants to revive it, and Moscow is game.
In the first place, it is about the safety of ship navigation. But if you remember its initiative previous form, all of its aspects, there was a rather large part about obligations towards our country that were not fulfilled last time.
So that is the first item on the agenda, the Black Sea Truce. The second is discussing the line of control. Basically, where do you freeze the front line? Who will monitor that front line? And how will peacekeeping happen? These are some of the contentious issues, but it's not clear if an agreement will be reached. Both sides approach these talks very differently. The Americans were confident of making real progress, but the Kremlin was not. They warned of difficult negotiations ahead. Trump has tasked his Gulf buddy to lead the peace effort. That's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. He shed some light on President Trump's game plan, on how he intends to end this war. Listen to what he said.
The ultimate goal is a 30-day ceasefire, during which time we discuss a permanent ceasefire. We're not far away from that.
So 30-day ceasefire first, then use that time to strike a permanent deal. That is Donald Trump's game plan. But is he underestimating the challenge? I ask because even the existing truce is in tatters. Last week, Russia and Ukraine agreed to a partial truce. They agreed to not attack energy sites. Yet, Ukraine is striking Russia's energy infrastructure. They say no truce document has been signed, so the attacks are not a violation. And Russia too is escalating. On Sunday, they launched a massive drone attack on Kiev. At least 3 people were killed in that attack. Take a look. This suffering certainly needs to end, and Trump is right to push for peace, but his approach raises a lot of questions. Over the weekend, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff appeared on a podcast. And let me quote some of the things that he said. President Putin had commissioned a beautiful portrait of President Trump from a leading Russian artist and actually gave it to me and asked me to take it home to President Trump, which I brought home and delivered to him. So Putin commissioned a painting of Trump and Witkoff brought it back with him. Here's another quote. When President Trump was shot, Putin went to his local church and met with his priest and prayed for the president, not because he was the president of the United States or could become the president of the United States, but because he had a friendship with him and he was praying for his friend. Witkoff is saying that Putin prayed for Trump. Now, these are significant statements to make, especially in the middle of hectic negotiations. They offer us insights into Trump's equation with Moscow. The American side has considerable trust in Russia. They firmly believe that Putin wants peace. At the same time, they do not have much trust in Ukraine, as evident from last month's Oval Office clash. With such prejudice, can the US be an effective mediator? In an ideal world, perhaps not. But right now, the US is the only Western country talking peace, so let's hope the effort succeeds.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly. Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.